So, unless you live under the rock, I'm pretty sure you heard of the name Bronny James. LeBron James Jr., the oldest son of LeBron James. One of the most popular figures in high school basketball ever, and probably one of the most popular teenagers in the history of America. Right now, as a high school basketball player, he is ranked the number 19 player in the country. Also was a McDonald's All-American this year. And if we look at his high school career, it was filled with some ups and downs. As a freshman, Bronny received national attention. His team got national attention playing alongside guys like Brandon Boston Jr., who at the time was a 5-star guy, really popular, went on to play at Kentucky, and now plays for the Clippers. And Zaire Williams, who was another exciting 5-star player who played for Stanford and is now in the league playing for the Memphis Grizzlies. As a freshman playing alongside those guys, Bronny was able to average 4.1 points a game, which, looking at the numbers, aren't too exciting, but considering that he was a freshman on one of the top teams in the country, it wasn't bad. They went on to win the Mission League title. They went on to win the regional final before being held short of the state final due to COVID hitting his freshman year. Then in Bronny's sophomore year, he missed the majority of the season due to a torn meniscus that he had suffered that February. And he was able to come back for one of the playoff games, but they ended up losing to Corona Centennial. Then as a junior, as Bronny continued to develop his role, continued to expand, and he was able to average 8.8 points a game, 3.3 rebounds, and 2.8 assists. While towards the end of the year, injuries caught up to him once again, and he wasn't playing his best basketball, and that ended up with Sierra Canyon once again being beat by Corona Centennial, a Jared McCain-led team and a Devin Williams-led team, and get knocked out the playoffs. Now, and this past season, as a senior, being the main guy, the first time Bronny, at least at the high school level, he had at the AAU level, but for the first time at the high school level, Bronny being the number one guy, being the number one option, being the man, Bronny was able to put up his best statistics as a high school player, averaging 13.8 points a game, 5.5 rebounds, and 2.7 assists. Now, I'm not saying that Bronny isn't the best leader. I'm not saying that he isn't the best point guard. But we do got to take into consideration that even though throughout his high school career, he didn't win any state titles, he did manage to win 3 league titles and multiple regional titles. Bronny's worst season in terms of win percentage was his senior year. Was the year when Bronny was the guy. Just something to let y'all think on, like sizzling y'all spirit. But yeah, his worst season in terms of win percentage was the year when Bronny was the guy. He didn't have a BJ Boston, an Amari Bailey, a Zaire Williams, even though he did have Isaiah Elohim and Ashton Hardaway, who were 2 really good players. And I'm also not here to say that Bronny sucks in any way. I think Bronny's a really good basketball player. I think Bronny plays the game of basketball the way that the game of basketball is meant to be played. But I do believe that Bronny is a tad bit overrated, because if we look at his high school resume, we look at his numbers, we look at the games won, we look at the championships won, I believe that if his name wasn't LeBron James Jr. or Bronny James, or whatever you want to call him, and you look at those accolades and take those things into consideration, you wouldn't say that that was the 19th best player in the country or a 5-star player. But that's just my personal opinion. Moving on from there, Bronny by most recruiting services, is listed as a point guard. Being that he's also listed at 6'2 or 6'3. I don't know how tall he is because Bryce is listed at 6'6, and I don't think Bryce is that much taller than Bronny. But being that he's listed as 6'2, 6'3 point guard, I believe that USC wasn't the best situation for him to come into. And this is why I believe that. Boogie Ellis has spent the last 2 years at USC. His first year at USC, he was the second leading scorer behind Isaiah Mobley, who is now in the league playing with the Cavaliers. And this past season, he was USC's leading scorer. He's coming back for a COVID year, his fifth year in college. USC also has signed the number 1 point guard in the country in Isaiah Collier, who I believe is a really solid player. I believe he's going to be able to step in right alongside Bully Ellis and really be able to impact USC's offense and help them win games. Now, with that being said, you got 2 prolific point guards, and you have Bronny James. Where is Bronny going to be able to fit in with those guys? That's the question that I have. Especially considering that none of those guys are bigger guards, 6'6", 6'7" guards. So, is USC going to go with a 3-guard lineup with Bronny out there on the floor? Is Bronny going to come off the bench? Which also leads to the question, how is Bronny going to be able to impact USC? Because, at least for me personally, the question I always had watching Bronny play in high school is, how does Bronny perform with the ball in his hands? Like previously stated, I've seen Bronny play with guys like Brandon Boston, Zaire Williams, Amari Bailey. And when playing with those guys, because of how talented they are, the ball was in their hands. Now, Bronny had the opportunity to, this past season, to showcase some of his skills with the ball in his hands. But that's still at the high school level. So I felt like when it came to picking a college, he would go somewhere where he was able to, especially being considered a point guard, he would be able to show his strengths and show that he's capable of playing the point guard position at a high level. And being at USC with a guy like Boogie and a guy like Isaiah Collier, I don't believe he has the opportunity to showcase his abilities with the ball in his hand. I feel like he's going to be relegated to playing off the ball, kind of the same way he was his first 3 years of high school. And going back to Amari Bailey, Bronny played second fiddle to Amari Bailey almost his whole entire high school career. Amari Bailey was the guy for majority of Bronny's high school career. And just looking at Amari Bailey this past season, Amari Bailey had a solid year, averaging 11 points a game. But Amari Bailey faced a lot of struggles this year, and he hit a lot of adversity. Now, looking at USC's roster, I believe that Amari Bailey this past season played a bigger role than what Bronny's going to play this upcoming season. So, seeing Amari Bailey struggles and seeing that he was, even though he struggled, he was able to put up solid numbers, shooting dang near 50% from the field, averaging dang near 12 points a game, and being projected to go mid-second round. It makes you wonder, how will Bronny perform in the Pac-12, the same conference, playing a lesser role? And how would that impact his draft stock? Because right now, ESPN has him going 10th overall. Which, side note, I thought was blasphemous. But they got him going 10th overall. If Amari Bailey is going mid-second round, I just can't see Bronny going 10th. And That's my opinion. 100% my opinion. Also, looking at some of the reports that I've read online, draft experts say that Bronny struggles to create separation from defenders, and his driving and finishing ability are looked at as weaknesses, despite him having the strength to finish through contact at times. And just listening to these weaknesses, once again, I felt like Bronny should have went somewhere where he was able to have the ball in his hands a little more, so that he can showcase that, hey, I can create separation. I can make my own shot. I can make shots for others due to my ability to create separation. I can get to the rack and I can finish. But to me, at USC, Bronny may not even be the third option, because he's the third option at point guard. So overall, maybe he is third option. We gotta wait and see. But overall, let's just say he's third, fourth, maybe fifth option. He's not really gonna have the opportunity to showcase his ability to create separation, his ability to get to the rack and finish, his ability to create for others, because the guys that are going to be doing that are Boogie Ellis and Isaiah Collier. That's why genuinely I was shocked when I saw that Bronny decided to go the USC route, because in what I believe a lot of people thought was he was going to go back home to Ohio and play for Ohio State, which made sense to me, because no knock against Bruce Thornton. I love Bruce Thornton. I think Bruce Thornton is a solid two-way player. But I feel like Bronny at Ohio State would have been able to come in. They would have gave Bronny the keys, and he would have been able to showcase his ability to play the point guard position, to have the ball in his hands, to create for himself, to create for others. To me, I just can't see that happening at USC. And I'm not saying he made the wrong decision. I'm not here to criticize his decision, because at the end of the day, Bronny's a 18-year-old kid, and at this stage of his life, the decision he made was the decision that he felt like was best for him and his family. And USC, he spent at least the last 4, 5, maybe even 6 years in LA. USC is home for him. Is Los Angeles, California. He's right here. He don't gotta change nothing. He don't gotta move to a new environment. So picking USC makes absolutely 100%. I feel like as a basketball move, USC wasn't the best situation for Bronny to showcase his talents if he wants to go to the league next year. Now, I feel like that's every basketball player's plan. Get to college, go crazy freshman year, go to the league. But when you're the son of LeBron James and your name is as marketable as Bronny's is, that may not be his plan. His plan may be to go to college, get an education, and after getting an education, go to the league. But with that being said, man, if y'all like the video, make sure y'all hit the like button, you subscribe, and you share the video with your friends. And until next time, I'm out.